Hello. Here's the second recording regarding the read aloud that Cortesia prepared for us in her lesson. You actually have a copy of her lesson as well as this handout called Analytic Talk, and I will be expanding a little bit on Cortesia's work. It was hard to beat what she wrote in that lesson plan. Excellent job, excellent analytic talk, excellent questions. So today, one of the things to remember is this is a simple book, but it has a deep message if, as a teacher, you are careful to craft your thoughts and your questions around getting these analytic conversations going in your read-alouds. The other thing to remember about this book, I've said it before, it is a great book, even though it's simple. It has a beautiful theme song to it. Sweet Honey in the Rock is the one who produced this song. And the title of the book is No Mirrors in My Nana's House by Yosemite Barnwell. And it looks like that the art and the paintings are by Cynthia St. James. You can see that right down at the very, very bottom. I want to go in now and look a little bit at the end pages. You can see with this book, you get the music. It would be a great music to call students down to group time. It could be the class song. Voyager Books are the books that publish this beautiful, beautiful book. Particularly great for multicultural and for a great, quick, interactive read aloud that kids can enjoy over many years and many days and months and a whole school year, in fact. The dedication says to Shelby A.L. McCoy, who grew up in a house without mirrors and shared her stories and friendship with me, and to our African ancestors who understood the wisdom of not having mirrors in the house. Then down at the bottom, we see another bit of writing. And the author says that she would like to acknowledge and thank David Roussevier, the choreographer who inspired the song suite containing No Mirrors in My Nana's House. Dance Alloy, which commissioned the work, Sweet Honey in the Rock, who lovingly recorded the song and continues to perform it. Glo Coslinson, who was committed to the life of No Mirrors in My House, in My Nana's House, as a children's book, and then called it into being, and her editor, Diane Andrade, who made it a reality. Finally, she wishes to thank Wanda Montgomery, who, by exhibiting the work of Cynthia and James, produced Sweet Honey in the Rock in concert in Charlotte, North Carolina. I believe that one of our colleagues, Ashleah, is from up that way, began the friendship that led to this collaboration. In her passing, Wanda surely became the guardian angel of the project. What do you think the author's message might be in There Were No Mirrors in My Nana's House? Turn to your neighbor and talk just a minute about what you think that might mean and what the author is trying to say to us. If we look at these beautiful paintings, we see there is beautiful simplicity, and we also see a signal. The child has a patch on her pants, and we see that reading and books are important. You can see my puppies are around me. And up here, you see a painting. Thank you for your conversation about what you think the author's message is about. More color. Now we see that people, this very same picture with beautiful colors. That makes me wonder why on the first pages were the characters in the story colorless, and now why are they colorful? Let's read the words. So the beauty that I saw in everything, the beauty in everything was in her eyes, like the rising of the sun. So what does that mean, the beauty was in her eyes? If you took a look at the music in this portal, you saw the reflection of a child, and in her eye was reflected an adult. I think that's what that means. I think that the beauty that you see, you can read on the faces of people who are supposed to be taking care of you. If you remember in Bronfenbrenner's theory, he talks a lot about how we're impacted by everything around us. I think that is a great example of Bronfenbrenner's theory. There were no mirrors in my Nana's house. No mirrors in my Nana's house. So I never knew that my skin was too black, and I never knew that my nose was too flat. What does that mean? She never knew that her skin was too black, and she never knew that her nose was too flat. Talk to the people around you about what you think that means, and what is the author really trying to say here? I never knew that my skin was too black. I never knew that my nose was too flat. I'm going to think aloud. This doesn't say this in the book, but I'm thinking that sometimes people might be judged by others, and maybe they need to build the way they feel about themselves, about their color or their facial features, by being surrounded with nanas who give them a positive view of themselves, instead of those bullies who want to pick on people whose skin is not the right color or the right shade, or whose nose is not shaped correctly. This is interesting here, that the child has no facial features. Why do you think the artist drew the child and painted the child? Here again we see colorless and faceless. Very interesting. I never knew that my clothes didn't fit. I never knew there were things that I missed. I'm making an intertextual connection here. That's one of the things that you'll find on your analytic talk chart that is with this. I am making a connection to myself. I grew up without much, but I grew up surrounded by who I knew. And I never felt like I was judged, even though I might not have been the cutest or might not have been dressed the best. I was judged myself by the people who were around me who loved me. Because the beauty in everything was in her eyes, like the rising of the sun. Now we see that the art has turned to color. Oh, the artist and the author has a message for us. When they're talking about Nana, what do you notice about the color? And what do you notice about the characters and how they respond to each other? Turn to your neighbor and talk about that. There were no mirrors in my Nana's house. No mirrors in my Nana's house. I was intrigued. Intrigued means very interested. She was intrigued by the cracks in the wall. So instead of seeing the cracks in the wall as something bad, she was interested in them, and she was touching them and seeing what they were all about. And here she is again. She looks, oh, let me ask you, how does she look to you? What is happening here? Look at those little sparks and dots. I tasted joy. I tasted with joy the dust that would fall. So she wasn't too worried about the house being dusty or having cracks on the wall. What does that tell us about this person and her Nana? Turn to your neighbors and talk a little bit about what that tells us about this person and her Nana. The noise in the hallway was music to me. Oh, look. What's happening here? The noise in the hallway was music to me. What do you think that some people might say about a noisy hallway? And here she is again, going out in the hall. Looks like there's some trash in the trash can. The trash and the rubbish just cushioned my feet. Rubbish is another word for trash. And the beauty in everything was in her eyes, like the rising of the sun was in her eyes. So, what is the little girl doing here? She says, and the beauty in everything was in her eyes, like the rising of the sun. There were no mirrors in my Nana's house, no mirrors in my Nana's house. The world outside was a magical place. Magical means very special, very mysterious. And look at all that color. That is so beautiful. I'm sorry, I'm struggling with my book. I only knew love, and I never knew hate. Now that is interesting in light of what some of us have been thinking and talking about with Bronfenbrenner. We know and are impacted by the people who are around us. And the beauty in everything was in her eyes, like the rising of the sun. She'll look deep into my eyes. Child, look deep into my eyes. Child, look deep into my eyes. Look deep into my eyes. Why is the main character, the Nana, and the little girl, why is she telling the child to look deep into her eyes? Now here we see all of the critiques of this book. Turn to your neighbor and think a little bit about a time when you had someone who made an impact on you in a positive way by helping you see yourself for who you are, not for how the world might see you. Thank you for your attention.